All right, guys, Shotty T here. We have finally made it to the end of the revisit of the class series, and we are going to revisit the missile class today. Just gonna get some more troops trained real quick. Like I said, I always apply for this whenever I'm training new troops because I've went through quite a bit today with the zombie invasion event, and we're just getting started. Uh, so make sure you check out the video that I posted earlier today. Cause this video should release right after reset tonight or close to it. About the updates, there's some graphic updates. The Meteor War is coming again this week, and the season 4 is for us is 4 days around the corner. So for everyone else, that means probably the same for you in season 2 and season 3 respectively. So excitement is coming. All right. That being said, let's get to the missile class. So, side note, I have just upgraded my HQ to 34, so that's why you see all those red dots. So these people are now eligible to be elevated to level 170, but I'm not going to do that until tomorrow or tonight. All right, so as you guys recall, we talked about it before. We got 3 classes of heroes on the game. You have your tanks, you have your aircraft, and you have your missile class. So for those that get familiar with the attack hero, the attack triangle, tanks outpower missiles, missiles outpower aircraft, and aircraft outpower the tank. So rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna, just like we did with the other 2 classes, we're just gonna talk about a little bit of the background, the history of it, because it looks like the way the game did the timeline as well as the development curve, it looks like it favored everyone going after tanks first, make them the dominant class of the game, and then you bring this big bag aircraft to counteract the OG class of the game. So everybody started focusing, shifting their lineups to counter that stuff, including myself. And then lo and behold, now you got this missile class that's gonna out counter the counter of the original. And really you have a lot of people now focusing as you get deeper into the game on your missile squads. And sometimes in some places that's people's top squad. So it kind of throws you for a loop. But we're gonna talk about it here. Let's look at the history. So the first missile hero that came into the game was the almighty Swift. So you had Swift and his brother from another mother, Tesla. They both came into the server timeline on day 15. So just over 2 weeks after you already had DVA, Kimberly, Carly, and Murphy. So you had 4 heroes that came into the game before these two. So it's purposely set up. They came last, and then the next one doesn't really come for a little bit. The next one you have is McGregor, and then the one after that, I think the last 2, you have Adam and then Fiona. Fiona was the very last hero of all heroes. Matter of fact, Adam and Fiona were the very 2 last heroes of the legendary variety, or just, I guess, period, to actually come into the game. And as far as I know, like I said, I can't predict the future. I don't think there are going to be any other heroes that are going to come to the game, at least anytime soon. That would be an excitement, though, when new heroes come. That's a big money opportunity. Put me on the marketing team, guys. So without further ado, we're just going to talk about this class, and I will give an overview. This class was definitely not that attractive of a class to start off. Like Tesla was like by far, and he probably still is. He's the cream of that class, and probably maybe even the top hero, attacking hero of the entire game. But what made it such a downside for him is that he wasn't surrounded with a whole bunch of other heroes that were worthy of upgrading in that class until Adam came around, and then the exclusive weapons took this class to another level. So we're gonna talk about it, but let's go ahead and look at it here. So we're gonna start off by talking about the lesser known ones, of course. So let's start with our friend Kane. This is not the wrestler version of Kane. This is the poor man's Kane. So really not much you're gonna deal with here. So just the heroes you had to start off with. Next you have Venom. Now Venom, he has some decent ability. So what he does, he prioritizes targeting two front row units, poisoning them, and dealing energy damage to certain percentage of his attack. And then it also reduces their defense for a certain amount of percent, or for 10% and 15%. Once you get them to 2 and 4 stars, so he has some debuff ability, which is pretty rare for a epic hero. You don't really have too many epic heroes with debuffs, so that would make him stand out of this tier variety, because again, some of you guys may be limited to just having this type of person on your team. So I have to talk about him. So he's worthy of upgrading if you don't have so many other guys, but obviously as your account develops, you want to start shifting your focus to the others that I'm going to talk about. So, and also, he's one of the few rare attackers that when he uses this particular skill in the upper right hand corner, he doesn't necessarily target back row people. He targets front row people, which is good. It weakens the top people and get that from behind, and that way the behind folks can get exposed sooner. So that's the main ability that he has there. And then we're gonna talk about Brass. Now, Brass, he's probably the least of the epic heroes, but you only got 3 of them, so somebody has to be the bottom right. And I can promise you it's not a race thing, man. I'm sorry, but it's just the facts. But he has like a little Kimberly style mechanism where he fires 5 rockets at random targets and dealing some damage, physical damage, not energy damage, as opposed to Kimberly. And as you get them to 2 stars and 4 stars, it adds more rockets. So it's kind of similar to Kimberly, but obviously the damage output is nowhere near the Kimberly level. But he is very helpful against monsters. I did use him quite a bit uh, early on in the game with my elementary squad before I start evolving throughout the game. So I give him some kudos there. And plus he has a pretty cool he got a pretty cool truck. So there you go. All right. Next, you have the Ice Queen. That's what I call her, but Frostbud Brown Goddess. So she is the defender of the group. So there are no support characters in this class. This is the only class that does not have any support characters. Everyone is either a defender or an attacker. So now she has some interesting abilities here. She has interesting abilities starting with her upper left hand ability. She launches an ice bomb, slowing enemies in range and dealing energy damage equal to a certain percent of the attack. So really it reduces the frequency of their attacks. So it actually, obviously, the key to winning is getting as many attacks in as possible. So she's not going to stun people, but slowing them down, that does help. All right. And then here, upon the skill cast, front units take percentage of less damage from monsters for 6 seconds. And of course, it increases to 8 seconds, 9 seconds, and 10 seconds once you get to 5 stars, and a boost to attack reduction. So that's really just against monsters, probably helpful against one-hit monster boss as an alternative to the team there for the missile squad. And then we, of course, reduce heroes damage taken from monsters in battle. So we talked about the boring ones, but obviously out of those three, Venom is probably the best one. I'll probably give him a B to B plus tier. Uh, Brad probably C plus, and Elsa, I'll give her a solid B. All right, so we got a lot to unwind with the rest of these, but we're going to start with the first one. We're going to start with here. why not? We usually say the best for last. We're just gonna come out the gate swinging. So first, we're gonna talk about his exclusive weapon difference versus his normal ability. But with or without his exclusive weapon, this guy is OP. But his exclusive weapon obviously takes him to another level. But again, you don't need to have his exclusive weapons for him to be super effective. So let's break down his skills and let's look at this exclusive weapon first. That way we can differentiate between the regular and the upgraded. So I got him at level 20. Level 20 doesn't do anything but just add boosted attack to your missile heroes. So if you can't get them there, if you do get them, level 10 is a good bar to get to, because level 30 it's going to take a while, because I'm not even there yet. I only got one hero at 30. So the first one here, lightning chain, auto attacks apply one stack of inductive current to the target. So this is kind of like residual damage. So it deals continuous energy damage equal to 3% of his attack per second, and it lasts for 30 seconds. So basically it's like continuous siphoning of damage. That's the opponent gets shocked, and it's like they're bleeding out. It's just continuously, basically. It's depth of 1,000 cuts, and max stacks is 3 times the number of missile heroes in the squad, up to 15 stacks. So that's a lot of currency. That's a lot of electrocution that is applied to the target. So feel bad for whoever he's going after. And then the second ability here is tactics apply 2 stats of inductive current to the target, but it's not just one target. We're going to talk about his skills now. So so that first skill I talked about, when you first unlock his ability, it applies to the skill on the upper left-hand corner. So one of the few heroes that the upper left-hand corner gets some benefit by leveling that up at a high level. So that's what it talks about there. Otherwise, if you don't have it, it's just a regular attack dealing energy damage to the opponent. Uh, and the cooldown period is 1.35 seconds. So that's his basic attack that he does. But with the exclusive weapon, it also applies that residual damage. So you're dealing residual damage from the jump again with this guy. But this is the one that is just, even without the exclusive weapon, is just banger. Hits 3 back row enemy units, dealing energy damage equal to, yes, you see that, over 1,000%. Obviously, this is based off how high your skill level is, but even I think at level 0, it starts at a pretty high percent. So it only goes up from there. And you see it in the battle and it's a cooldown for 10 seconds. So, I mean, obviously, a lot of these skills in the upper right hand corner have like a cooldown from 8 to 10 seconds. So you get that burst, and you look at the back row units that he's going against, you just see, look, a big chunk of their health just boom. And with the exclusive weapon, it also applies 2 stats of inductive current, and not just and it's all 3 of them. So all 3 of the back row units gets it. Okay, so it's kind of like a not Kimberly, a DVA situation. Remember I talked about DVA, where her missiles, if your health is low and this skill on the upper right hand corner is about to do a burst of damage, you're dead. Same thing with Tesla. If you're on the back row and your health is low, you're dead. You're not gonna get an RNG and just hope to stay alive unless a debuff is applied to him, or the nullify ability for not the debuff, but the stun, or the nullify ability from Skylar. That's the only way that you miraculously stay alive. And then here, this just increases his energy damage by a certain percent. So it's energy damage. So that's why you definitely want to build up your energy resistance when you go against a guy like this, because he doesn't deal physical damage, but still, it's insane damage. Okay, believe me on that. All right, so now McGregor, before he got his exclusive weapon, I probably ranked him probably the worst, or maybe the second worst hero of all the legendary class because he had pointless abilities. Like he, on one hand, he takes the pressure off your opponent by your teammate by targeting him, but it just didn't do anything for me. So now this new ability with the exclusive weapon makes him much more effective. So let's look at his exclusive weapon. So the first one here, McGregor's auto attack, add one stack of fury to the target, and we'll define what fury is shortly when we look at his basic abilities. And then on when you get into level 10, McGregor's tactics prioritizes the enemy back row and apply one stack of fury to the target. So again, fury. So you see a theme there. Okay, so let's look at these. Let's break it down. So without that, you just got the basic stuff: prioritizing, attacking a random front row enemy unit, dealing physical damage equal to a percentage of the attack. Without the exclusive weapon, but with the exclusive weapon, you apply one stack of fury as well to the front row enemy unit. So what is fury? It increases damage taken over time by 20% and reduces their attack by 2.5%, and it stacks up to 5 times. So if you think about this, if you combine that with Tesla's ability, which is damage over time, because that residual shock, that's considered damage over time. So if you got Tesla attacking a target and you got McGregor also attacking a front row unit, that means that that damage is even amplified with this fury ability. So that's what the exclusive weapon does there. Okay. And then let's look at this skill here. Prioritize attacking a random front row enemy unit. Oops, we just talked about that. Taunts 4 random enemy units. And this is not in green. This is set in stone from the beginning. 4 random enemy units. Prioritizing the back row. So it's a good chance that 3 of those 4 are going to be in the back row. Reducing their attack by a certain percentage. So the higher their skill level, the higher their damage reduction is. So that's a debuff, as you can see there. And with the exclusive weapon, it applies and applying one stack of fury, which again, how we define fury is it reduces their attack by 2.5% up to 5 times, which is 12.5%, and increased damage that they take over time. So again, if you combine this with Tesla, so that's why you got to have both of these on the same team, period. You can't have these on separate teams. All right. With Tesla, the Tesla who are already going to prioritize the back row with that burst, because this cooldown for his ability is 9 seconds, so it's not always going to line up. But pretty much what'll happen is that the damage over time that's going to be done to the back row, they're going to also have their damage reduced, and on top of that have more damage over time taken. So it just amplifies Tesla with his abilities here. And so he's kind of like a support character for Tesla, but we're going to talk about Swift shortly too. And then reduce all damage taken in battle by X% for this hero. So all these combined things, what they do, well, let's go back to Taunt. Taunt. So what Taunt does, and this is from his basic ability, okay, taunted units will prioritize auto attacking McGregor. So that means if he's on your team, the opponents that's going against him are going to, and it's 4 of them. So this is every 9 seconds, 4 out of the 5 people on the other side is going to target him. Okay, so that means he has to be tanky enough to absorb that. So that's what this comes into, reducing all damage taken. And of course, we talked about reducing their attack already. So it's like, hit me with your best shot. So it's like, I got an iron chin. Hit me with your best shot. I am Rocky Balboa. Okay, just hit me hard. And I'm going to take one for the team, and I'm going to make my teammates get more residual damage against you and take the pressure off of them. So he's kind of like the sacrificial lamb. This guy is it really makes his ability much better than what it was before. Okay, and so because of that, I give him a solid. I probably give him an S tier now. I mean, at least an A plus. So I still don't like the fact that he has to get targeted a lot, because if he dies, all this stuff, all these big abilities that we talk about die with him. So that's the only thing. He's subject to die first, which means the other abilities won't matter. But while he's alive, uh, your heroes will do damage. Okay. All right. So let's go to the third one, which will also benefit Swift. So Swift, just like McGregor, I didn't have much. He was like, ah. Now he did have a unique ability that I did like about him before the weapon. We'll talk about that. But besides that, it's like, he wasn't that much to talk about. But now, just like with McGregor, he added some benefit with the exclusive weapon. So let's talk about it. So the first one here, Swift auto attacks add 1 stack of burn to the target. Okay, and we'll define what burn is. And then here, Swift tactics add 1 stack of burn to the target and reduce all damage taken by this hero by 5%. So then again, damage reduction, debuffs. So sensing the theme here, damage over time. So we're seeing a lot of stuff with this class. So let's look at his first ability. Attack the enemy unit with the lowest. So this is the key ability that sets him apart from any hero in the game. He attacks the enemy unit with the lowest current health pool percentage, not the health pool overall, percentage. All right, dealing physical damage equal to whatever percent of his attack, and with the exclusive weapon, adds 1 stack of burn to that same target. So what is burn? Burn deals continuous physical damage equal to 10% of Swift's attack per second, lasts for 10 seconds. The maximum stacks an enemy can have is the number of missile heroes in his squad, up to 5 stacks. So again, another person that benefits from being synergized with other missile teammates. So all these guys need to be together is what you're going to end up getting at when this is all said and done. So this right here makes it to where if you got a person that's about to die, Swift is going to target them. It's like a homing missile for whoever has the lowest health pool, and he's going to keep attacking that one person unless somebody else emerges that has a lower health percentage than that target. So he's like the executioner, finish him type guy on your team. He doesn't deal the big damage that Tesla does, but he's gonna double down on whoever's being targeted on your team and get them down soon and apply some damage over time with that burn. And if you combine that with the McGregor ability, that amplifies the damage over time with the burn. All right, so let's look at this ability here. So attack 3 random enemy units, dealing physical damage. So this is a physical damage attacking hero, equal to a certain percent of the attack, adding 1 stack of burning on each target. So it's the same thing. I don't know why it says burning instead of burn, but this is with the exclusive weapon. So this is without the exclusive weapon, you can disregard everything regarding the burn, but it also reduces damage this hero's taken by 5%. And with the more stars that you have, you deal extra damage, and also increasing each time that you put your skill cast out, it increased his attack by 5% and stacking endlessly until the battle ends. So if it's a long battle, he only gets stronger as the battle goes on. And then if you get into 4 stars, it increases by 10%. So it doubles. And it just keeps stacking. So the longer the battle goes, the stronger he gets. So this is his base ability. So this is without the exclusive weapon. So before that, like I said, he had decent ability targeting your unit with the lowest health pool and getting stronger over time as the battle waged on. So it's always good to keep him alive the longest possible. And then here is crit rate. So crit rate, just just more big damage per attack. All right. So yeah, because of that ability, again, just like Tesla, I'm gonna now Tesla's still the ace of the class by far. He's like a tier by itself, probably S plus. But I would give Swift an S. Now let's go to Adam. Now Adam, that's my boy. Now unlike his other brother in the class, this guy right here has a lot more ability. So let's talk about it. Now I heard rumors that his exclusive weapon should be coming this in season 4, along with Lucius and I think Williams. So I'm looking forward to seeing what each of their exclusive weapons are because they are all defenders. So we will see what happens there. But let's look at nothing to see here regarding his first ability. But let's look at his second ability. His second ability is pretty unique. Enters a counter defense state. Keep in mind, there are no exclusive weapon here, so this is just base ability from the jump. Enters a counter defense state for X amount of seconds, depending on your skill level. And after releasing this skill, responds with a normal attack upon taking damage up to 1 second. So this effect duration increases to 6 and 7 when you get to 3 stars, and the counter attack damage that you deal, it also increases by up to 15% on 2 stars. And front row units also receive this counter defense state once you get them to 4 stars. So if you get this guy, get him to 4 stars because magic happens if you give him the 4 stars. That's all I'm gonna say. And then if you give him the 5 stars, the counterattack damage increases by another 15%. So obviously more stars the better. And then this, if you combine that ability with this ability here, in battle, reduces all damage taken by front row units by X%, with effects doubled for missile heroes in counter defense state. So in other words, if you got teammates in the front row, if you put him in the front row, then it'll apply to him. But if you put other teammates in the front row, ideally an attacker and a defender, then it'll reduce their damage taken by this percent. And also they get the chance to benefit from the counter defense state because with that 4 stars, front row units also receive the counter defense state. So that increased their counter attack damage by 15% at 2 stars. Well, I guess it only is relevant when you get to 4 stars. So it'll increase their counter attack percentage by 30% if you get them to 5 stars, but at least 15% if you got them at 4 stars. So it makes your attacker on the front row even more powerful every 10 seconds with this counter attack phase. So not only does he make them more tanky on the front row, but also gives them more attack. And so that, if you just do the balancing act there, that makes the net effect of attackers in the front row with Adam on your team great. So we got one more left, but we're going to put it all together shortly. The last but certainly not least is Fiona. So Fiona has a lot of similarities to DVA. She's kind of like the DVA of this class. Very simple. I don't know if her health pool, I mean, of course, I have her at a lower level. I don't know if her health pool is on the same level of DVA as far as being a tanky attacker, but she's pretty basic. She has similar Kimberly abilities, not Kimberly, but DVA abilities when it comes to here. Fires a rocket to hit all enemies, dealing physical damage. So that's the difference between her and DVA. Hers is physical. DVA's is energy damage. So, and just does a burst of damage. So again, just like we talked about with Tesla and like we talked about with DVA, if your heroes are low in health and she does her auto attack, it's gonna hit everybody. It's hitting everyone. This her attacks is, unlike Tesla, who's back row units only. Hers apply to everyone. So it's a big burst that everyone is going to suffer, and it only increases more with the more stars that she has, and then boost her physical damage that is done by X% with this ability here. So just very simple, but raw damage just like DVA, and because of the ability to just be an executioner when this skill happens, is why she's considered an S tier. But we will see. The only downside with her and with Adam is that neither one of them you can get for free. That's the main downside. So as a result, it's kind of hard to get them to a high star level. That's the real downside of the missile class for those two individuals, at least. McGregor, he's starting to become more available. He's actually in the ticket store in my timeline now. He does become available in the Heroes Return tickets once you start season 3. So you guys will have more and more access to him once you get to season 3. But before that, the only way you can really pretty much get these individuals are, we talked about this before, is through the ghost ops. So make sure you take advantage of that. And then whenever you get this upgraded treasure map, these boxes here, I believe you can only get, there's no Adam and there's no Fiona. So you can only get McGregor, Tesla, and Swift from this. So outside of that, you have to go here and do this whole thing here and get them for $4.99. Just to get, and just you only have to do it one time. Once you get them, they're permanently on your team. And from there, if you want to build their star level up, you just accumulate these shards over time, robbing trucks, trains, and doing a lot of day-to-day activities, getting lucky a few times with the campaign missile chest, getting up 100 shards at one time. So there are plenty of ways, opening all your versus boxes every day, because again, it adds up over time. You get all these shards there too, so you can eventually get these to where you want them to be. So lineup setup. So we talked about all the different benefits that everyone has. So we're gonna, just like we did before, we're gonna talk about the free to play setup, and we're gonna talk about the ideal setup. So we're gonna take all this out here. So if you're now, chances are with missiles being later added into the game, you're more than likely are going to have a squad that has a mixture of missile heroes and other classes. So you're probably going to have Tesla. Okay, if you're going to go with missile as your team, Tesla is going to be on there. And then because Swift is there early in the game, you can have him there too. And then if you have to have a third missile person to just add to that Tesla and that Swift ability that we talked about, then I would, if you don't have Adam or Fiona, because we're going to assume that they're not on your account, then you would put her in the front row. And if you have McGregor high enough in star level, then you can put him on the front row. And actually, I would put him right there. That way you can make her last a little bit longer. And then the fifth attacker, probably Venom. Yeah, so this would be the setup if you're free to play. Now, if you do not have McGregor yet, then since there is not a second defender of this class, then you just have to use whatever your best defending hero of another class type, whether it's Murphy. But chances are your first squad, your main squad starting out in the game is probably going to be tank. So it's a good chance that your missile squad is probably not going to be your best squad. So I would imagine that the second hero that's going to be your defender in this class, I would venture that it would be either Violet or Scarlet, and that's before they get their legendary upgrade. So that would be the recommended setup for free to play. You'll have 4 missiles, you'll have 1 tank, whether it's Scarlet or Violet, and you'll still get the benefit of the 4 heroes of the same type bonus. So you're not going to really get much oomph if you're free to play trying to go with the missile squad. So my recommendation, obviously, if you're free to play, to prioritize your main squad to either be tank or aircraft, more than likely tank, and just find a way to get Tesla on your team, period. But as your account develops over time, then, and as you accumulate your Fionas and your Adams and get them to the appropriate star level, this is the ideal setup you want to have. Okay, so this is my setup here, and you did see that in a arena battle. So we have Adam in the back row, and I have it set up this way to where, because remember, this position right here gets targeted first by your opponent. At least two of your three back row units is going to prioritize this spot first. So that's why you want to put him here. Now, I have Swift in the front row. They said, why not put Tesla in the front row? He can benefit from this atom ability. If you recall, it's a subtle difference, and it's debatable. It's a fair debate. But if you recall, his ability, especially with the exclusive weapon, and we're going to talk about if you don't have the exclusive weapon, what I would do. But his exclusive weapon, remember, it reduces all damage that hero takes by 5%. So he has his own self ability to have damage reduction on top of what Adam gives him with that synergy. Tesla does not have his own damage reduction. And in theory, I believe, yeah, if yeah, I think they're about equal in health pool if all things equal. So it's not like one is squishier than the other. It's just that he has that added ability. And Tesla, it doesn't matter where you put him. That lightning bolt is gonna hit. And so it doesn't matter where you put him. So you don't want to have him die quick, because there are some situations where this spot might die sooner. But that arena battle that you guys saw me, he had the most remaining health pool when the battle was all said and done. So again, there's merit here, and plus having him in the front row gets him out of the wrath of a person like a Tesla that's attacking back row units, as well as Skylar with her stun ability and all that stuff. So this is why I have it this way. And the reason why I have Adam here versus the middle or the right is because since he's going to be the main person that's going to stay alive and take one for the team, and if he dies first for some reason, then the person that's across from him is going to attack this spot first. And because Adam is a defender, he has naturally more health pool than these two. So you want to I got her shielded by him, and I got Tesla shielded by him. And even though he's unshielded technically, he has the benefit of this synergy and his own abilities to stay alive longer. So this is the setup here. If you don't have the exclusive weapon, I would probably still keep it this way, because I've seen before their exclusive weapon came in the game, I've seen arena matchups where this was still the opposing lineup. When I first saw this, I was like, why are you putting an attacker on the front row? It's because of Adam. If you don't have Adam on your team, you don't want to put Swift on the front row. Even if he has his own damage reduction, it's amplified here with Adam. So we talked about that. Even if you have a developed account and just don't have an Adam, then I would just put your best missile, I guess, Violet or a Scarlet in the fifth spot if you want to ride. If you want to ride with your missile squad being your top squad, if you don't have an Atom. So that's the recommendation there. So yeah, so just to kind of sum everything up, and we'll probably do a separate video ranking all the heroes all together. But this class is pretty fun. Somebody put it perfectly in the comment section that, in their opinion, and my opinion as well, aircraft is probably the strongest class because they counter the strongest, the most deep class in the game. But the missile class, they're fun. This is the only class you can, like with the Kimberly setup, the DVA setup I had on the aircraft squad, it was debatable whether there are certain conditions where you don't want to have her in the front row. But with this setup, like it would be crazy not to have Swift in the front row in this setup for this squad. So, and it all that residual damage over time with the burn and the electrocution and hit me with your best shot, Rocky Balboa, and this guy just giving you counterattack and the boom damage from her. This is a very versatile squad with different damage types that makes it, if you have a top level missile squad, I've seen cases where a missile squad with the same power level as a tank squad beat that tank squad, because I've seen that happen on my arena teams. So you can make a argument that this class may not have any counters in the right situation once they're developed. So missile, what do you think, guys? Missile, aircraft, or tank? What's your go-to class? What is your missile lineup? Who is your favorite with or without the exclusive weapons on this? Yeah, but again, my favorite is this guy by far. But the rest of these definitely got an upgraded boost with the exclusive weapon. All right, guys. I know that was probably longer than the other video, but it was definitely worth going over. Stay tuned. We're going to put it all together, talk about all the heroes. Probably not as in depth as we did in this video or the other videos, but we want to make sure that you guys are aware of where all heroes are in the game, because I think the tier list does change with the exclusive weapons. All right, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll talk to you later.